Welcome to another episode of the Retail Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Darius Wasafi, and today I'm at the Shop Talk conference speaking with Craig Alberino, CEO of Gray Gene Technologies based in New York. Craig is going to start by giving us an overview on how Genie, their flagship platform, helps retailers.
And what we do for them is we analyze past behavior patterns in order to predict the future. And with 72% accuracy, we can actually predict their customers' next likely purchase. And what does that mean for a marketer? Well, what that means is that they can tailor their communications around the actual purchase behavior and create that surprise and delight that marketers are actually looking to do.
Okay, so let's say a retailer has a website and that they have an app. Where does your technology fit in to their stack?
Great, and are we talking about a pure play e-commerce, or is this somebody with a store also?
Well, okay, so if you have examples, tell me the stores as well.
Great,
Omnichannel.
great,
Yes.
great. So let's start with e-commerce because that's the easiest,
Okay.
and then we'll build out into omni-channel.
Okay.
So with an e-commerce integration, if we take somebody running, say, a Magento platform, we would integrate with their customers, their CRM, their transaction history, everything that's occurred on the website, promotional calendars, et cetera, and then we're going to look at past successes and failures of promotion. We're going to look at things like impacts of the weather, what is the kind of demographics for the zip codes that are actually purchasing from them. How many hours a day do their customers spend in their office versus at home? And we're going to look at overall household income. And with that, we're going to help them make smarter decisions on what they should be marketing out to their customers. Now, let's be more specific. We're looking at a bunch of data, and using the term big data, which is not a fan of the term, but we're looking at an awful lot of data, and we're applying advanced algorithms. And we can call it artificial intelligence, but it's really just math. It's statistics and math. That's really what it is.
It's a new name for math.
It
right?
is. It is. It's math, and everybody that went to elementary school can actually do big data. So what we do for the retailer, online retailer, because that's the first example that we're going to address, is we're going to look at all this data and we're going to help them optimize the way they go to market. And what should a promotional campaign look like? Can we target a deal down to the individual level? So instead of broadcasting a deal, you're going to narrowcast the deal down to the individual level. And with 72% accuracy, we can actually predict that customer is going to take advantage of that deal. So your success rate will be over 72% in an email campaign in terms of a redemption of an offer if you implement Genie. Now, you also asked about the mobile app and how do we integrate with that. We integrate on the back end using a set of RESTful APIs. Very easy integration, and we will actually do a lot of the heavy lifting on your behalf. You just point us at the data, we'll parse the data appropriately, because we understand that sometimes retailers don't always have the technical staff to be able to do it. On the front end, if you have a mobile app that you're in love with, which I don't know any retailer that actually is in love with their mobile app, we actually take our SDK, and with a simple less than 1 day integration, we can put our SDK into your mobile app. And what does that do? That allows us to send a push notification advertisement to an individual in order to execute a transaction. So if we've learned that Darius prefers to be contacted at a particular time of day, or when he's in a particular location, like his office, because perhaps he has a downtime at 3:15 in the afternoon, he's slugging from after lunch and maybe he's grabbing a coffee, and we can get his attention, and we know that he's going to buy something at that time. That's when we're going to deliver the message, not when you decide that you just want to push out an email broadcast to everybody. So it's the appropriate time and place to communicate with somebody and delivering the optimal message at the right time.
Okay.
Now, if we're going to broaden the scope out to an omni-channel retailer, so to include brick and mortar stores, sometimes that becomes a little bit more complicated because there's a lot of times there's going to be diversity in the back-end POS system. There might be different choices that have been made in terms of the CRM system, the ESP that's actually providing, or email service provider that's providing that technology. and we're going to have to do the integrations there as well, because we do need to have the back-end integrations in order to, we have to know the historical data
Right.
in order to be able to predict the future.
Right.
And it really isn't as heavy a lift as it sounds like, because we do actually put a team of very qualified people. My CTO and his team, we come from a Wall Street background as well as an advertising agency background. We've worked with retailers before. I did one of the first large e-commerce integrations, multilingual, for Payless.com back in the early 2000s. When the technology wasn't really there and when people weren't actually outsourcing these sorts of things. So we know full-heartedly that retailers need help. We're here to help. We're not an IBM or an Oracle where we're going to charge you a ton of money to come in and to help you. We're a lightweight implementation. We're a SaaS model.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah.
So it's a SaaS model?
It is. So we're going to run, and again, not using industry lingo, but we're not. It's somewhat of a data warehouse / DMP, where we're bringing in data from lots of different places, but we're using more modern technology like Spark on the back end to be able to help us make decisions in real time, which you wouldn't be able to do even if you had thousands of staff members.
Right.
So we like to say that we're an actions company rather than a data and insights company. So we actually help you take an action with your customer rather than presenting you with a bunch of data that you don't know what to do with.
And I would add to that point also that even if you could do it, you should not do it.
Right.
You should focus on, what's your main strength, which is figuring out how to serve your customers better instead of creating technology.
Right, but
Yeah.
I don't like to
Maintaining it
use
and then-
I don't like to use judgment language like should.
Oh, okay.
So while I agree with you, if there's a commodity behavior that somebody can take over on your behalf at a fairly low cost, so instead of going and hiring 20 staff members that
Right.
fully burdened are probably going to cost you a couple $100,000 a year each, rather than do that, why not go with somebody that's like a SWAT team, come in,
Right.
fix what you need to fix, get it integrated in less than 2 months, because that's our usual integration period is about 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
And then after that, it's a lightweight SaaS model, and we're here to support you.
Okay. So what about after the sale? What should your customers do to become successful after the implementation is done and everything's running basically?
Sure, and that's a great question. What we're finding is that, and again, this is all very new, the technologies that we're working with, kind of the whole concept that we're working with. There's some larger players that are out there doing it. If you were talking to IBM or Oracle, they're going to want to put a staff with you forever, because that's how they make their money. For us, it's we'll do what you need to do to get implemented, and we'll stay on site as long as you need to run certain programs and campaigns. But we'd like to be able to train staff members at the retailer how to operate the system, how to execute campaigns so that they could be self-sufficient. And then we're just merely in the back end just serving them from a technology perspective. Now, that being said, I've also worked in the agency world, and I know that some folks need more hand-holding than others, and we have built up a customer success team that is highly skilled and familiar with retail and can help you execute campaigns for quarter upon quarter, year upon year, and just stick with you as long as you need to be. However, that's at an additional charge above and beyond the SaaS that we're talking about.
Yeah, so I think that's very important, because just from my experience, the technology is really only the first half of the equation. It's how to use it, which really will complete the cycle. A lot of companies implement the technology however long it takes and whatever it takes, but then they don't use it correctly for various reasons, and that's that's where the people part of it comes into play, and training and continuous. Sometimes it's a culture change.
Sure.
So you can't just throw the best technology at a team that just doesn't understand the value of it, doesn't understand how they can actually use it. So that's why I asked that, because I've seen that happen so many times.
And I think that that's a great point. one of the things that we do up front and part of our due diligence, and we vet our customers as much as they're vetting us, because we don't like to get sucked into situations where we can't make them successful despite everybody's goodwill and intention. So one of the things that we try to do up front is to understand from the top down what is the mission of the company that year. What is the CEO actually trying to accomplish? We don't sell from the bottom up, we sell from the top down. And so we work with the CEO, we work with his board members, his investors, his shareholders to try to understand what are they trying to accomplish for the next year, the next 2 years, and then reverse engineer that into a solution that is going to work, and then we wrap our product around that solution. Mm-hmm. And so every single customer that we work with, it's going to be extremely prescriptive, which sounds counterintuitive when you're dealing with SaaS and you want to get to scale, but it's actually, it makes the most sense because every retailer has unique needs and their consumers have unique needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very smart. And I would probably just add my own point of view on SaaS in general myself is the concept that people think I'm just going to sign up and things are just going to magically happen. It just is not true.
Sure.
SaaS, signing up for the software is just the beginning of your work. So I think, we all know that basically, but we just need to be reminded sometimes not to forget.
It's just another license model. When I worked with the Microsoft organization years ago, there was always, there were two metrics that the salespeople worked off of. One was, I have to sell you the software, and the other one was the deployment metric, because if they didn't get you to deploy the software as a customer, then they weren't going to be able to sell you more software a couple years down the road.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so the thing here is like, I want my customers to be lifetime customers,
right.
And I want to continue to drive their success for years to come. And so if the need be is not just helping them to deploy, but to also stay with them and support them from a customer success standpoint, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Okay, great. So. Just a couple more questions. So when your customers actually have a separate dashboard for GrayGene, right? They log into the GrayGene dashboard and they do this work, or do they go through like Magento if they have Magento, if Magento has a merchandising?
Sure. And great question. And what we're doing actually, so the product is called Genie because Genie is actually delivering the magic to your end consumers. Genie knows what your customer wants to buy, and Genie helps you communicate with your customer to deliver that delight. So that marketing plug aside, they log into the Genie dashboard. Genie aggregates all of that internal data, omni-channel data. So if it's Magento, we're sucking in all the data from Magento. And then if it's the POS system from your store, we're going to do that. If it's your loyalty system, if ATG is running your loyalty system, we'll take a look at that as well. It all gets pulled into Genie, and then you create something called a fingerprint in Genie. And then we have offers or marketing messages, and then campaigns. So our metaphor is the people, the product, the campaign, and then we report back to you using our internal dashboard tools, and on the back end, right now we're using Tableau, but if you happen to be a Power BI user and you want to check out our success on Power BI, we're reporting back to you, because again, we're an actions company, and so our reporting back to you is on our success.
Okay, great. And then the data is all on your servers or what, in the cloud?
Right, so we are housing anonymized versions of customer data, and my business partner always likes to say it's like baking a cake. You'll put in the butter, I might put in the flour, and there's going to be ingredients coming from a bunch of different places, and the cake is ultimately what we've baked. And you can't get the butter back out, you can't get the flour back out, but we're anonymizing the data in order to create these fingerprints and the personas in order to deliver the individual deals, and so yes, we do store data, but it is a version or an abstract of the data that makes sense to us and nobody else.
Right. Which is actually an added benefit. I think if that's done right, it's an added benefit. So the customer doesn't have to worry about another place and another set of data they have to maintain and watch outsource. So
Yeah, and I think part of this too, Darius, and just I don't want to drill into privacy concerns too much, but really what we're doing is we're trying to teach the retailers to be better arbiters of their end consumers' data, because we've seen a lot of gaffes over the past couple of years with using customers' data, and what we're going to do is we're going to, through our terms and services, we are going to ask that the retailer, they have to inform the consumer, you're sharing data with us so that you could get this in return.
Okay.
So there's a fair value exchange to the consumers,
Right.
and we're going to be more overt about it because we don't want to be an axiom.
Right. It's better to be upfront about it than not, let consumers find out by themselves later. Okay, so
And everybody's selling your data today anyway, and and the thing is why can't you sell your data as an
Right.
end consumer, and why can't you get something in return? And what you should be getting in return is less noise from the marketers, and then hopefully subsidized products and better deals.
Right. Okay, so I know you have to go really quickly, maybe in 30 seconds. Tell me, what do you think is the future of retail?
Oh, that's like one of those questions, Darius, and you throw me a zinger.
I know.
You throw me a zinger that's would take me 30 minutes to answer, but I'll try to answer it. So Jerry from Hudson Bay this morning was talking about all channel versus omni-channel, and where are you ordering the product, how are you fulfilling the product, and where does it actually get delivered to? I think he's right when it comes to, it's not omni-channel, it's all channel. And you need to deliver surprise and delight to your customer at a point in time that's relevant and provides context to them. And then if you can do that, you're going to get them to be more engaged with you, and that engagement drives loyalty. And we see consolidation in the way consumers are behaving now. They want to do business with less and less brands, and they want to do business with brands that are speaking to them in their own voice. And and I didn't even touch on kind of our political and cause engine that's in Genie. But the thing is speak to the customer the way they want to be spoken to at a specific point in time, deliver value to them, and could that be in a brick and mortar store? Sure. Could that be online? Absolutely. And the mobile is the most personal device. So I think in the simplest form, the future of retail is mobile, and it's going to be your mobile phone.
Yes, I agree. So thank you so much. Just quickly, how would people contact you if they wanted to follow up and learn more?
Great. Thanks for that. They can contact us at info@jgny.com. That's Gray Gene Technologies at info@gjny.com or gjny.com on the web. Just check us out there. Hit us up on Twitter, and we're happy to have a conversation. And look forward to speaking with you again. Thanks, Darius.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode and would really appreciate rating us on Stitcher or iTunes. Also, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter at retailtechpodcast.com to be notified of new episodes, updates, and special announcements.